Hello and welcome to episode 198 of the Foundry Roundtable, a podcast exclusively covering the Foundry for Star Trek Online. I'm your tame Foundry author, Drogyn1701, and with me are my three companions who have fallen in love with life and are drinking it like a fountain that is falling like an avalanche coming down the mountain. Greendragoon, Markhawkman, and DuncanIdaho.
I totally understood that reference, and I can provide further elaboration if absolutely required, but I will not do so at this time.
All I know is it felt like a landslide.
You're singing.
Sure.
Sorry, I was on a little 90s music kick this weekend here. little nostalgia.
I hate 90s music.
It's good in small doses.
Actually, it's not all bad.
I skipped a lot of 90s music because I grew up listening to the music my parents listened to, and then only sort of found what I was interested in the 2000s. So, but anyway, we got obviously lots of stuff going on because it's time for Foundry Challenge voting.
I mean, sounds good.
So, the deadline was yesterday at 5 o'clock in the evening, my time, of course, which is 4 p.m. Pacific time. We had a couple of stragglers, but we got them in because the more the merrier. So I'm going to just quickly go down the list here. There are a lot of new authors, so if I don't, if I mispronounce anything, I apologize. So we have Mysteries and Familiar Faces by Zektosh. Flowers of War, Thorns of Peace by XR377. A Simple Tailor's Shop by Bear Goggles. Old Soldiers by Hippie John. Ooh Gem by Smoke Bailey. I gotta wonder what that title is about. I'm interested to play it. A Dagger in the Dark by ST Captain Quirky. Generation Armageddon by English Werewolf. Echoes of the Iconians by Troller Pilot XIV number 9883. The Grand Library by Colonel 68. Unseen Enemies by B. I'm just going to say Bergie on that one. B. Bergie. Somebody who's in the Star Trek online or the Starbase UGC chat room. Replay Morning by Ted Hembach. Kem Bajora by A.J. Woodley. Investigate the Fire Caves by Lone Star. Guidance by Horient. Rubicon by Casmodian. Undercover Job Station 114 by Bale Rogue. Reality Blues by Captain Hunter. And the Ducat Sisters by Nog Ram. And those last two actually have both Fed and KDF versions, but they count as one entry. And then Undercover Job Station 114 is KDF, and the rest are all Fed.
I'm glad that there was some KDF with this one. I was a little worried about that because I'm just thinking like, well, I've only got a KDF Gemidar, so that does kind of limit me. I don't know. Dragoro can pretend.
Yeah, I know. We're all well versed in the idea of pretending to follow along with whatever the author wants. So
yeah,
we can pretend we're flying a Cardassian.
Yeah.
If we don't happen to have
well,
one.
one of my favorite missions is Smuggler's Life for Me by Johnny Snowball. So yeah, totally.
That one's a totally pirate RP mission. So yeah, obviously that's a pretty great response. 18 missions.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I think our previous high was 8 with AEI. So yeah, that's more than double.
And I don't know what the high point was back when our previous CM was running them. Why can't I think of his name?
The last
Brand Flakes.
Brand Flakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we had one with like 20.
Well, I'd say people probably want that, T6 R&D ship.
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah.
Just a little.
But it's also a nice general challenge, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I think, looking back on our previous challenges, I think the more open-ended topic is the way to go.
Yeah.
Rather than restricting people
It's
too much
efficient.
into
Brand Flakes
Keep getting out, Mark.
Back when he observed that it would just I don't know. It's like if you make it a good idea, so they just don't make anything for it if it's this narrow focus.
Yeah, we're really having a hard time with that, Mark. Understanding you there, unfortunately.
I have absolutely no idea whether you can hear me or not, unfortunately.
Yeah. But you're right. I think Brandon ran a whole bunch of them, and I think we got better response on the ones that were a bit open-ended.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good thing to know going forward. So for the moment, we are in the voting period. Everybody has 3 weeks to play the missions and vote. Authors may vote for their own, or authors may play and vote for missions, but not for their own. And authors are not to be working on their missions, to do any polishing. We want everybody to play the mission as it's posted right now, unless there is something that's preventing people from finishing the mission. Then you can go ahead and fix that. And the cutoff time for voting is 4 p.m. Pacific time, Wednesday, October 12th, and you vote by basically contacting me. So send me a forum PM, Twitter DM, or in-game mail to @Drogyn1701, and that's DROGYN1701. So, and if you are...
It's a Friday. You said Wednesday.
Did I say Wednesday? Okay, I need to change that to
Friday the 12th.
In the post. Friday the 12th. And if you're not shy about who you want to vote for, you can just put it in that voting thread too. That is not a problem. And there will be a couple of extra missions floating around, along with the theme of this challenge. Mark's working on one, and at one point, Duncan said he might work on one. I don't know what his plans are.
But a few things have changed about that, because I was ultimately talking with Starfire Theta about finishing our Transcendent series, and to take a little bit of pressure off Paul Solo and for getting off into the Foundry, I might revamp that project, what I was working on for Victory is Life, as the part 1 of that series. So that mission would still be coming out, but actually just retooled for a different type of thing. So maps mostly intact, and character stuff changed, but yeah, basically the core of that mission put into a new focus, and then leading into his already published Transcendence Parts 2 and 3. So yeah, we'll see what goes on with that one, but I do have something else that might be shipping sooner rather than later that might be inclusive to Gemhead Art characters, but we might talk about that one later. Cool.
And we've got a couple of guys who didn't quite make the challenge deadline, but are going to put out submissions anyway, we hope. Captain PF Dennis says he'll be done with his tomorrow, and Azurian Star said he couldn't make the deadline, but I encouraged him to finish it and put it out there, and we will promo these on the show.
Also, Star Sword C wasn't able to get theirs in time, I think.
Yeah.
So that's another one to look out for.
So what we're going to end up with is a very nice library of Jem'Hadar and Cardassian missions.
I haven't finished running away from. Yeah, I was originally planning to make Fed and KDF versions, but then I realized I'd have to rewrite half the dialogue if I did a KDF. Oh well. Probably end up just doing the Fed.
It'd be interesting to see the Fed and KDF versions of the two that we have that are both, see if they're particularly different.
Yeah, we'll see. Especially, yeah, that'll be an interesting comparison.
I mean, if to us.
Yeah, really cutting out there, Mark.
The player there's a gem head door.
All right.
Yeah.
So anyway, though, yeah. So we got a bunch of missions, and definitely a lot to get through because there's 18, and you definitely should play through all of them for voting. So just give everyone a fair shot and really kind of just take a look because with new authors, you never know what you're going to get, and it's certainly possible to build a really good mission within that time frame.
You could do like one a night and get them all done.
Well, that would be a little bit of a stretch. Or, well, you said one a night or all in one night?
No, one a night.
Okay.
It's 3 weeks, so with 18 missions.
Yeah, I mean, one a night would work out just fine. So yeah, and
hopefully they're not too long.
Hopefully, but thankfully, with the challenge window, it tends to be a little bit shorter. I know. Let's see. Oh, DXA Prime was able to really build out a really long mission for AEI, but that was still a really fun one. So yeah, it just kind of depends on how they go through it. I don't think we'll have, let's just say, Cold Blue Space Part 1.
Or our old gold standard of 3-hour missions, which was Old Lord Skull's mission, which I cannot remember the name of. Maybe some of the old timers in the chat room will help me out with that one.
Did that hit the map limit?
The map limit at that point was 10 because it used to be 10. It's 15 now. But it was a good 3-hour mission.
Oh God.
And I mean, it wasn't necessarily bad per se. It just kept going and going and going.
We'll just have to throw if anyone does a 2+ hour mission, we'll shorten the window.
One of them had a mission where they did that weird thing where you have a non-storyboard mission where you do a bunch of triggers to do optional side quests, and that's what the mission is made out of. And that one, that one could take a long time because of the fact that since none of what you were doing was like actually an official mission, you basically had to figure it out as you went along.
Now that could be a challenge. Make a mission with one map and one objective.
Ooh.
Everything else has to happen outside of that, and make it interesting.
This was one of the Brand Flakes challenges I'm thinking of, because this mission, depending on your dialogue choices that you went through, you might end up on the surface of a moon or you might not. And he would redecorate the map accordingly.
So that does lead us into the interesting idea, question of what might be the next challenge that we do.
Discovery.
And that's the obvious.
Well,
thing,
I mean, okay, let me put this one out there, because if Kael listens, I'm going to maybe throw this one over to Kael. Get us the tardigrade asset, the challenge, make a mission with the tardigrade. Or make a mission about a tardigrade or some way or features a tardigrade in some way. Make it a tardigrade challenge. Could be the lieutenant, could be a different lieutenant tardigrade, up to people.
This seems like an elaborate attempt to get tardigrades in the Foundry.
Well, let's just basically say it's a way
not that
of
elaborate.
Structuring it's not that elaborate. It's like, hey, give us a tardigrade and we'll use it. But it's kind of one of those things where if we want a little bit more coordination, it's one NPC, and that might be more doable than a more elaborate content dump. Kael is working on stuff in his spare time, and Zero has shown him how to make maps. So he's working along on that. So, but anyway, though, I mean, that kind of seems like a pretty straightforward thing to do, and something that there is a lot of room for reinterpretation there for what's going on with tardigrades. And it is discovery theme.
And just infinite room to troll you, basically.
Well, basically, yeah. I mean, yeah, basically.
I would quit this show so that I could enter the challenge and do something with tardigrades that gets all of the biology completely wrong.
Actually, it wouldn't be the biology. It'd be basically making like Lieutenant Tardigrade like a master villain.
Yes, that'd be part of it.
Oh, that's
like
so
the master Tardigrade 5.
Yeah.
No.
The evil Tardigrade massacring his own Tardigrade. Brethren.
Just a picture of weeping Tardigrade throughout the entire mission.
Basically anything I could possibly do to troll you with that one.
Yeah, basically. But no, I think that one...
I know it's your favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, that one could be a fun one just to, lead into that and just give people a little bit of chance to have fun with Tardigrades besides...
Oh, I mean...
Cutting out again, Mark.
Well, one of the brand flakes.
Yeah, we're not getting that, Mark.
Yeah, we're not getting you at all there.
But anyway, though, I mean, it's looking at the next challenge. It's discovery would be a discovery.
It also lags for Mark, so unfortunately,
uses the.
I think I heard Tholians.
There's an idea for a Foundry challenge. Mark is trying to communicate a message, but it's garbled. You have to solve it in order to save the galaxy or something.
That's actually we could do that as a contest.
The brand flakes.
Yeah, Mark, we're not hearing you.
Just not at all.
Was this because just
Mark has been having troubles with his ISP lately.
Yes.
Anyway, though, with the Discovery Challenge, that's probably something we'd definitely look at next. Tardigrade's just an idea. We're not committing to anything on that point yet.
We probably will also put a break in between the challenges. We don't want to necessarily...
Because, this could be...
Age of Discovery.
Yeah,
yes,
Age of Discovery.
Because we all want to be playing Age of Discovery.
Yeah, and that's probably going to be shipping sometime not too long after the voting period, maybe. So we'll see about that one.
Hopefully not during it.
Oh, yeah.
Recently had...
So speaking of Age of Discovery, we've been getting some things dropped on Tribble lately, which is interesting to see. It's the systems stuff that's getting started on there. Let's see, we got T6 for reps, which has interesting cosmetic shields with it.
Kael put out a great graphic for that. Demonstrating each one on the Shenzhou.
And they are different from the shields that you get that you can buy at T5.
Yeah, they are just the visual, but that might be a good choice just for the cost, relatively speaking, because I've actually been buying shields as lower cost vanity shields because it is still cheaper than buying most of them on the exchange. But yeah, there's some pretty cool stuff on that one. So the Delta rep should actually be really good to sort of paint over a ship to make it look more Romulan, which might be something great.
Yeah, because it's kind of green. Actually, I was thinking of putting that one on. So the one new Discovery ship that has so far shown up on Tribble is the Klingon Bird of Prey, which is in the new queue at the moment. I'm certain they will make that playable at some point, if not for launch, then sometime. So I was thinking of putting that green Delta shield on that.
Yeah, that would be great for a KDF-aligned Romulan. And some other ones I really liked was the Terran one was pretty good. They sort of shifted the color palette a little bit, so that one for me works a lot better than the original. Undine rep is pretty darn good, and
the Dyson rep one was kind of interesting.
Yeah,
like a darker, purpler version of the Dyson shield.
Yeah, and then the Undine one, they flipped around the black markings for white. So that's actually something that maybe can play a little bit more to a Fed who's wanting to get something a little bit more Fed-like out of a aligned alien ship. So, yeah, I mean, there's some really cool stuff coming out that way. And then you've got the
fact that we don't have.
But yeah, it's the upgraded traits too are pretty darn good. And then they got the
conversation reminds me of the.
Mark, you're still cutting out.
This whole conversation reminds me of the fact that we don't have the ability to apply shield visuals to things in Foundry.
Yes, that would be a nice ability to have.
Yeah, but the it's probably going to be a big technical challenge for that one because it does work a bit differently than the skin system.
Yeah.
So it would be cool. But yeah.
So let's see, what else have they been putting on Tribble so far? Well, there's the queue that I mentioned. There's the Defense of Starbase 1, which apparently is, the idea behind it is that it's a simulation for starters, and there were like some small raids on the starbase before the big one that finally sort of half destroyed it.
Yeah, it's a sort of a series of battles rather than one just, definitive battle, which is really interesting just for how it sets up the war as, like, it's not just like one big dramatic push, but it's basically a series of the Fed growing more and more precarious, like their status getting more and more precarious. So that was pretty darn neat. But also the one thing too is that they have the Starbase 1 asset currently live.
Yeah, which is a pretty cool looking thing.
And naturally something that we'd love to see on the Foundry because
it's a lot like the TMP era mushroom station, but without the mushroom cap.
And kind of like upside down almost.
Well, the original station was upside down in the motion picture.
Well, that's a slightly different station.
Well, yeah, but it was the same one they used for.
That's the model that they use for regular one. Yeah. I'll tell you this: it's too tall for screenshots of the whole model. Good ones, because you have to get up so high to take down that the little bit at the bottom you can't really hardly see any detail on it.
Yeah,
so I was taking screenshots when I first dropped it. It's a fun little queue. I mean, it's kind of like the Swarm.
Yeah, it's a little bit different focus, but it's very similar in its mechanics. So it kind of bookends nicely with that being sort of the end stage, and this probably being more of a beginner queue. So when it ultimately sort of comes together, it should, provide some nice bookending with the recent PvE drops.
It's got a lot of placeholder ships in it right now.
Another cool thing.
Go ahead, Mark.
Another cool thing about it is that it actually has a reason for your HPS to matter instead of just your DPS.
I assume HPS is heals
because you have the evacuating. Exactly. So you need to keep the evacuating ships from dying so that they can get out. Yeah, and if you're good at healing, you can do that.
So kind of like the Kobayashi Maru, except less extreme and wonky.
Yeah.
So you might want to be packing that. What is it? The console from the Lucari ship that.
Yeah, the protomatter capacitor.
Yeah.
That one is a. Oh man, that is a great hull heal because it's by percent rather than by an absolute value. So that one is the thing to have if you're trying to revive a NPC, which tends to have quite a lot of hit points relative to the player. So that'll be shipping, but then they've also got the random queue system running on Scribble, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Me too.
Because that's
giving me the opportunity to play some older, some different queues that I haven't played in a long time, and get the marks that I want.
Yeah.
After it launches, I want to do a show where we just play, like, keep repeating over and over again. And just
Well,
play whatever comes out.
Ambassador Kael did that on 10 Forward Weekly. Was it 2 weeks ago? And it went pretty good.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out because it's a very elegant solution.
Ground.
Yeah.
Or no, cure ground.
Oh yeah.
I have to say,
that was a good one.
It was hilarious seeing Jesse Heinig's reactions to watching somebody play that mission. It's like, oh yeah, I remember building that and that thing over there, and oh yeah, that thing. I really wish I could fix that so that it works differently, et cetera, et cetera.
It's funny watching somebody watching game or a game part of game design that he did like 7 years ago.
Yeah. And the other thing too to note on that stream is that they did confirm that a bunch of bug fixes are coming for those queues. That's kind of their big push right now, is to really address what's going on with a lot of the older queues to get those in a nice playable state. So that's something to look forward to. Just with quality of life improvements coming with this update, because in addition to being able to play more, because of the way the system works, where it'll just dump random players where they're needed. So basically forces players to queue in the ideal possible way to support their system, which might be brilliant. I mean, as far as like how you manage a system like this without resorting to like a highly edited matchmaking playlist, like of condensing queues together in a random hopper that just selects it randomly and doesn't allow that free choice. This seems like it could be a perfect hybrid between those. So we'll see. This could be a little momentous in game design, because previously the model for how to get a system like this together was shipped in Halo 2. So if Cryptic finds a better way of doing it, then that'd be pretty cool.
I was kind of thinking this system, what if there was such a system for like Foundry missions? So you just hit the random button and you can only do it like once a day, but you get the random button, you get one random mission with boosted rewards, and you've got to complete that mission.
That might be tough though, with probability being what it is, with most missions probably not being.
Well, you'd have to limit it to like qualifying missions. Once qualifying gets fixed.
Yeah, if qualifying gets fixed, and this would being if this was a top, like pulling from the top 3, that'd be better. Or at the very least Spotlight, but then that's,
Spotlight's too small a pool.
It's too small.
Yeah, unfortunately. The other thing you might run into is, what happens when you pop an older mission that has been made uncompletable, but the guy never unpublished it.
Yeah. So there it might, like a daily bonus might be good for that. But yeah, some type of randomization system might be worth looking into, if that could be hooked up. But I think definitely dev time priority. God, fix the
fix the qualifications.
Yeah, I'd say get that done first.
Yes. But you do mention an interesting thing, which is that the system actually takes from the pool of people who have queued for a random, and it fills in what things that somebody has already queued for.
Yeah, and if none of those is available, then it randomly decides. So it's
so like half a second ago, I noticed there was somebody queued for the Battle of Procyon 5. So if 5 people happen to hit the random at that point, or 4 people happen to hit the random at that point, they'll be put in that queue.
Yeah.
But that one guy who specifically queued for that.
Yeah, and the Cryptic did mention a list of eligible playlists, so there might be some exceptions. I'm hoping it's like CCA, ISA, and the queues which are just simply broken. Because if it's the favorites, then it's kind of going to defeat the purpose, because those are never not filling up.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that one works out. It could be
luckily, there's only a small pool of those favorites right now.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see how this works.
And I am not calling it TFO, by the way. I'm just telling you that now, because that's the way my brain works. I'm just always going to call it a queue, because that's how it's been for however many years, and I'm not going to retrain myself.
I'm already calling them STFs.
Yeah, like it's sort of like my brain is primed for SDF, so being able to readopt a new term like that sort of worked a little bit better for me, because there's still that mental distinction between the mission and the system feeding you into it. Because for me, it's coming from matchmaking and then a multiplayer game. Or a game and matchmaking, or a match and matchmaking. Yes.
Yeah. It's not a judgment against anything. They can rename whatever they like, but it's just I'm just going to call them queues, because that's what I do.
Language is tough to just change.
It's the colloquial term rather than the specific term.
Yeah, or the diegenic term, to use a word that I'm really liking a lot. The in-universe explanation.
There you go.
Yeah.
So let's see, what else is on Tribble? The revamped mission journal.
I actually like that.
I have mixed feelings, perhaps.
Yeah, I would like if there was a separate list for the other missions, so they don't take much searching. I would really like that. But streamlining the mission journal and getting rid of level requirements, that I do like. That because
there's certainly some good to it.
I've struggled through the last few times I've created a character to complete the main arc. Usually I fall off the Iconian War. So it's strong up until like Cardassia, then it starts to waver, then Dyson, okay, a little bit of picking up, then again it's Delta Rising, then Iconian War, bleh. And that's generally how it goes. Yeah.
Well, you know me, with my massive number of alts, I very rarely play a good portion of the missions on any of them.
Yeah, I've been doing more skipping, and there's still missions I've still got to play on my TOS Fed. My Gem Hadar still actually hasn't completed the Victory's Life arc, because right now I'm just a little burnt out from just playing through those missions. Because I completed like his Grand on my Fed the first time, and then it's sort of the replay, like getting the rest of my characters through the same arc. That usually. Yeah, that's been taking more of an effort. So I am looking forward to it.
I found that, once you get past that first one, Storm Clouds Gather, once you get past that one, they seem to go pretty quick.
Yeah, that one definitely. Tedibius, the second to last one, that one's a little hard for me because it is an intense mission and it's all ground and it does take a little while to work through. It's a good mission. It's just one of those things. It's harder on the replay. It's got
some slow parts. Like the floating around and the 0G parts and
yeah. And then it's kind of funny where home, I didn't like that one on the first go because it just kept dragging out for the combat. But recently I'm just like, hey, more combat. Because it's more of an excuse to use my Viral. That isn't, oh my God. I've been using, I got the new KDF cruiser or support cruiser, and that is my new favorite KDF ship and also my most powerful. It is really well set up for my build. I mean, oh my God, that's been insane.
Well, people wanted that T6 Fortuna, and they delivered.
Oh God, yeah, and I especially like the fact that I'm picking out IndyCar and F1 design cues in the model, because I mean it is serious because they elevated the rear pod, so it's like a rear wing. It's got some of the turning vanes. Well, it's got the under tray. It's got turning vanes. And the hull has an air intake where you kind of expect it to be. It contours like the tub of an IndyCar. It's got that front wing.
They don't always talk about their sort of design inspirations, the things they look at for these things, but sometimes they do. And you remember back when they did the Intel ships, the Fed Intel ships.
Oh yeah.
They talked about how they were looking at like Lamborghinis and things like that.
Oh yeah, and I named my Eclipse cruiser the Aventus, kind of on a play on the Aventador.
Oh yeah.
But I mean that, I was kind of debating. It's like, do I want to say that for Age of Discovery? Like, nope. I want this ship.
I had to splurge on the the Narendra.
Yeah,
because that's a beautiful looking ship.
Yeah, I was almost going for that one, but what kind of threw me off at the last minute, it's sort of like the proportions on side on just kind of bug me a little bit.
It has some strangeness to it. It does.
Yeah, but it's a really I really like it for a default Fed cruiser in 2410. And then for me, it's just I want it for Starfleet security, but at the same time, it's I was using the Excelsior a lot, and I'm just I kind of like that better.
And if you do put the default hull material on it, it absolutely fits with the 25th century guys. All the cryptic 2409 designs.
Oh yeah.
And if you take that and then you put hull number 1 on it, it totally looks like it's something out of from right when the Ambassador was around.
Yeah, that's going to be a good ship to get in the Foundry because it does have that versatility and it does have that. it's kind of like that and the Reliant to me. Kind of take like I kind of want to start like I purposely use those to kind of build out this like kind of the feeling of the sort of the TNG Fed, where you see a few core ships. There might be a lot of variety, but you're starting to see like a buildup of a few varieties. So the Reliant, the Tier 6 Miranda, this, and yeah, it would kind of like, for me, it would kind of be the workhorse ships.
I previously already sold my soul to the New Orleans, so I skipped this round.
Those are pretty nice.
I really wish we. I really wonder which of the items from the Battle of the Binders will be C-Store and which ones will be Lockbox.
That is the question.
Yeah.
How are they going to distribute all that?
Have the Discovery ships...
Some of us want to...
Yeah, we're losing you again, Mark.
I know. I would say
Thomas Maroney said stream that he wants all of them. So
we know they want to do all of them.
Yeah,
they may not have them all ready for the first go round here.
I think there's too many ships for the lockbox. So because there are a lot of designs both for the KDF and Fed, just judging from the Eagle Moss graphics.
Yeah.
So I think they will inevitably go C-Store because I don't think there are enough lockboxes within a reasonable release window to get these ships out there. But it's also interesting to see, like, you know, like, have the Discovery ships moved into the Infinity Store yet?
Realistically, I'm expecting them to make it a themed cross bundle for the Age of Discovery.
Well, I have a suspicion we may find out next week.
Yeah, because we already saw one ship.
Some of them will end up.
Yeah, we're really losing you, Mark. But yeah,
it's not working, buddy.
Yeah, but yeah.
So we did find out what the starter ship is going to be, which is the Malachowski class, which is one of those ships from the Battle of the Binary Stars.
Okay, it was, because I was thinking, looking at that, it's like, did they just design it like a Discovery era Miranda?
It's not an original ship. It's from the battle. There were two of them, in fact, in that. I saw a graphic that pointed them out.
Yeah. So, man, yeah, this is going to be good.
the ones I'm looking forward to are, and I forget the class names, but the ships were called the Europa, which was the Admiral's ship that got rammed.
Oh, that was a nice one.
It's got like 4 nacelles and a roll bar, and it's cool looking. And then the Kerala, which is the one where the nacelles are kind of swept up. They're above the saucer.
They're swept up and back, so you can kind of like basically superimpose the Paladin on it.
That one feels like an escort, maybe.
Yeah, that one, like, and it was pretty dynamic in combat, so maybe like escort or destroyer. But yeah, that was actually the one I was looking at. It's, I think, the Shepherd class.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one.
What I really want most is that enormous thing that rammed the Europa. I really want to fly that thing.
I think we may get that one, and I'll tell you why. Because when you play the Defense of Starbase 1, there's some placeholder Klingon ships in there now, but they're labeled. And one of them is labeled as whatever that class of ship is. That's the big ramming thing.
That might be a good lockbox ship.
It might be.
Because it's one of those things, too, because it's not in-universe, it's not a common ship. I mean, for all, like...
It's pretty much just the one that you saw.
Yeah, so that might be a good one for a KDF side. But then it's like, the question is then, what do they do on the Fed side?
Well, my thought is perhaps, and this is just complete conjecture, is you might see Federation ships in the C-Store, Klingon ships in the lockbox, and the Discovery version of the Constitution class in an R&D promotion.
Ooh.
So Discovery Connie and the
I know people hate me for suggesting that, but
I think the Klingons, though, just because of the way they've been going, they will probably. I think those will be C-Store.
KF and Fed like that.
No,
it may well be. It is certainly
because the C-Store. I mean, we saw in the last couple of packs, they're really dead set on maintaining parity between the KDF and the Fed. So I could very easily see the next 3 ships. Like we get 3 ships, like 3 and 3 for the C-Store for the next one.
Could be,
and then we get a lockbox or promo And that actually could be a good one where they sort of like, oh, let's see. Oh, that might be. They're not going to do a lockbox economy. So yeah, I think the Discovery era. Well, actually, would they release that as a separate chip, or would they release the skin? And
well,
then
that is the question. I mean, that's the more, obviously that very much benefits people who have that ship already as a T6.
And that is a very vocal group who spent a lot of money on that Constitution class. And they did release the
including three of us here.
Yeah, and they did release the retrofit Gratis. So yeah, we'll see on that one. I think
they've done it before, like you say.
Yeah.
And what was it? The original pilot version of the Constitution. They put that in there for free. For no extra charge for people who already own it. So
yeah. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I think the ramming ship is a good candidate for either a promo or a lockbox.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it remains.
It's pretty big as well.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting though if they how they kind of approach the lockbox situation because you are going to have a lot of competition with people who want to get the Crossfield and Sarcophagus or the Walker because those are pretty high profile. So what I could see them doing is like running a promotion and then making a point of like moving the Discovery stuff into the Infinity Box. So,
well, I mean, schedule-wise, those are the next ones to go into the Infinity Box.
Yeah, but yeah, that follows with like releasing another lockbox. So, what they could do is like some of the miscellaneous ships, like basically the potato-shaped ships in the.
There's some funky-looking ones for sure, especially some of the Klingon ones. Some of them are just so alien. I think they're cool. Even if they're sort of ugly.
Yeah, because I think that like it speaks to like a lot of different influences in the KDF.
Looks like it might. There's one of them that looks like it might be a retrofitted or Orion freighter. I mean, it's like.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I think that like that diversity is really cool for the Discovery Klingons because it suggests that they're really not doing a great job putting new ships together. They're just working with whatever they've gotten at hand, putting it like really. Basically being disjointed, which I think is a great setup for the D7, because of that being the united Klingon Empire default ship, because then has a menace.
I think what they were going with when they were making Discovery is to show that each of the great houses had their design bureau, their own set of designs they were using.
Yeah, and then that
I saw that discussion on the forums that you guys were having. And, it struck me as kind of funny because, in canon, how many times do we actually see a D7 show up? Not a whole lot.
Yeah, it's in TOS, there's a few, just those few background shots. But
so who's to say that's the standardized ship?
Yeah, and especially with the fact that Discovery very purposely avoided having anything like the D7, I think they're going to make more of a point of it. As being like the new flagship. Like L'Rell shows up again. She's like, I've got a new flagship and it's D7. And that's like, oh my God, they're building a new Klingon ship. And then that's basically the extent of it.
Kind of ends up like the Negvar a little bit.
Yeah, like a Negvar or something like that, where it's the sort of the new symbol for Klingon. And
it's the new hotness.
Yeah.
Did you guys see, there was a post on Reddit where someone had taken the new Vorcha and kind of made it look like a futuristic D7 and then put a Romulan skin on it. And it had totally looked like the successor to the Romulan version of the D7.
Ooh. Yeah, and that the Voral does have. Yeah, that's actually one that
I always wanted to fly a Romulan D7 in this game.
Yeah.
You want to fly everything.
Sadly, that is not an option. I do. If, given infinite resources, I would fly everything.
Yeah. Although you could do
especially
the tier 1. Yeah. But there's a lot of great stuff coming. We were Age of Discovery. We did get some teasers too for the tutorial being on a potentially revamped Starfleet Academy map.
Yes.
So that's going to be, and maybe even just something that they just did some minor visual touch-ups, and we'll see.
It was pointed out to me that there is a shot of Starfleet Academy in Enterprise, and it basically looks like the Starfleet Academy that we have in this game. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of changes in the building structures.
No, but they might just clean it up. Yeah, they might clean it up.
Interiors probably be different. Yeah. Maybe different landscaping.
Yeah, something like that. Because it is one of those maps that does feature heavily for new players. So making that, like, just dedicating a little polish to that, I could definitely see them justifying. Just to say, hey, let's make it better. Because that is also a theme for the revamp for the Fed side missions. Getting that really closed down. I do greatly appreciate that. Because, yeah, the Fed tutorial for me is one of those ones where it's just like, it just keeps going on.
It does. I recently had to, because I normally skip it, of course, but I recently had to play it on console because that account had never played it before. So, yeah, it's like, it goes on for a while.
Yeah, and then the missions following, it's like, I just want to go blow up some other things.
I tell you, I do miss some of the old parts of the Fed tutorial, like, blowing Borg out of a hull breach. That was fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Nostalgia. I'll tell you though, I'm not really in favor of moving Wasteland and the 2800 out of the main mission journal.
I was surprised by Wasteland
because I
like those personally. I think they're good missions.
Yeah. It's one of those ones where I guess they, like, if they're being really rigid about it, are just like, well, technically they don't need it, so it could just be like that. Like, they're really stern on trying to get it edited down, and just decided that, like, the number of missions sort of matched up where if they took it out for the Fed and Klingons, it sort of gave a little bit better parity. But yeah, we'll see with that one. I could definitely see Cryptic sort of making some revisions, like putting things back in if people are. I mean, it's not like they're being removed entirely. No,
they're just being put in the available tab rather.
Yeah, and I can see them,
which of course is that has its own issues.
Yeah, and then I can also see them maybe at some future point revamping the UI a little bit to sort of provide those found missions in their own little category. So you'd be able to open up like a little drop down tab.
That they were planning to add to the journal some sort of handoff thing.
Well, they got a handoff, but it's going to be a contact. So you get a hail from Quinn, and then he basically outlines, hey, you've got all these things to do. Yeah, you're cutting out again, Mark.
They've also added some little introductory quests to the task force operations.
Oh yes, task force operations,
which you can skip. So it's not like you're going to be forced to do anything. You're not going to be forced to do anything. I keep seeing people say that on like Twitter and the forums and things like that. Oh, you're forcing me to do something. Nobody's being forced to do anything.
No, especially like make a discovery character. Yeah, but no. But yeah, like it's basically an intro for it's an intro to the PvE system. And it's coming earlier, which is, I think that's great because it's a more gradual lead into the end game, because that is a pretty hard hit once you get like the level 40, level 50, and then you get more and more of the system opened up. It's like, why so late?
Yeah, I mean, the game used to send you over to Starbase 24 as part of kind of progression in the storyline, didn't it? Fleet action, back when it was called a fleet action.
I think it was actually. Didn't it like hail you as you flow by?
Maybe that was it.
As you would just
get something like that. It was something where it felt like it was telling you to go there.
Yeah, there was a there are those.
Defense of Starbase 24 did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a few contacts, especially from the available tab, that do route you over to those fleet actions.
By Starbase 24.
Yeah.
Let's see. This was back in the era.
Still.
So we've got, I think basically one other piece of news for the upcoming content, which is we got a little blog giving us some details of that first mission. Actually, we went over that. Now that I think about it.
So Starfleet Academy.
Yeah, Starfleet Academy. All right. So
well, like at least the intro to that mission, where it's like, hey, we're going to be in a class with Tilly, and we're going to go out and go basically kind of like go through something probably similar to the Fed tutorial, but with Discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Cadets on a training cruise.
Cadets on a training cruise. But yeah, we know that the Glen's coming and Korvat colony's coming. And we'll see how those play out because we know there's also some multi-faction stuff coming. So,
if I had to guess, I'd say how they're going to structure it is there's going to be 2 missions basically, and then your Discovery character is going to get stuck into the regular game world in the 25th century somehow, and then there's going to be a new endgame mission starting a new endgame arc, cross-faction for everybody. That's going to tie in story-wise with the 2 missions that Discovery characters do.
Yeah, that's a pretty reasonable way for it. I could sort of see them doing also 1 and 2. So 1 tutorial, kind of like the Jem'Hadar one, that immediately bumps you into the next era. So you get a little bit of an introduction. Hey, we're going to explore something, and then say you get hugged by a tardigrade and whisk you off into 2410. At the very end of the mission.
we know that the villain is going to be Ja'ula, who's T'Kuvma's sister. I actually went ahead and bought that comic and read it, and it's pretty interesting. Just briefly, basically, she's the one who finds and starts repairing that old sarcophagus ship. And during the story, she goes from that sort, and the idealism of trying to turn her house's fortunes around because they're in dire straits at that point. And she kind of bequeaths that quest to T'Kuvma a little bit. And then she kind of has a change of heart and has to, become at that point, the traditional Klingon woman of being married into another house. And T'Kuvma, comes back and calls her on it. And there's, lots of bitterness going on. So, it's hard to say how we'll find her in the Stowe storyline. Yeah,
because that's definitely going to be an interesting character to sort of, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, there is a lot going on there. I simplified it a lot. So, but I recommend you go and read that comic.
Yeah, because that's a good mix of character dynamics for a Klingon of that era. Because you have that conflict between those 2 different ideologies. So that's going to be a cool one to, cool character to see, at least for 1 mission.
Yeah, so the practicality of life in the Empire at that time versus the idealism of what T'Kuvma represents.
Yeah. So, and that might be something to focus for the next challenge. We'll see.
Yeah, we could do a Klingon challenge.
Yeah,
Klingon Discovery focus.
I don't think Kael is going to have much.
anything but tardigrades.
Or anything with tardigrades. But I just think.
I said anything but tardigrades.
Oh, anything but tardigrades. But yeah, for Kael, like we were talking about a Klingon challenge before. Maybe something to look into. But the Klingon Discovery challenge would be cool, especially if that like the Klingon Discovery assets get added into the customization palette. That might automatically bleed to the Foundry because we did get the Kelvin parts like that. But we'll see how that plays out. And try to come up with some ideas in advance that he might be able to work on to make a new resource available and then challenge authors to work with that right on the go. Yeah. That might be an interesting nucleus for challenge because if we get like the Klingon just like customization options, then boom, there's a new creative opportunity there. And then right on the same point, new challenge. That might be pretty cool if we can get that working. So yeah.
The other random thing I just thought of, as far as challenge topics is, if you could do one that would basically not intersect with anything that Cryptic is doing, which is this: what's going on in the Romulan Empire in Discovery Era? Because I don't think the show's going to touch on that, at least not for a while.
Yeah, it's especially like if it's.
I don't think
that's interesting. I think that might be a little. That's going to be pretty hard to work with, because it's almost like every single author is going to set up like their own intro.
Yes.
and they're going to be maybe mutually exclusive. That's kind of the thing where, as a challenge, it's going to be interesting to see everyone's takes.
Everyone would have just completely different takes on it. Which is fantastic, I think. Because it reminds me of
the Romulus challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
we all had completely different ideas of what is the mirror Romulans doing.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting one.
It was interesting the differences and the similarities, because I think a good 90% of the mission entries in that particular challenge destroyed mirror Romulus.
It's like Earth in Hitchhiker's Guide.
The balance must be preserved.
Yes. Romulus must always be destroyed. Okay, so I have an idea for a little Foundry activity, a little test we can do.
Do.
Something that will help me do something that I'm planning. But we'll talk about your thing in a little bit, but I want to try this. Okay, so Dragoon, if you want to fire up the Foundry.
Okay.
I'll give you a little background here. So at some point on one of our many, many Twitter discussions, Greendragoon suggested that I take all of my myriad player characters and have some sort of battle royale in the Foundry with them. So here's my dilemma. I figured out kind of how to do it with various combat mobs, and I'm going to space them around and then have them patrol to a point right in the middle. They're all gathering and all fight each other. This will be space, by the way. So what I'm wondering is which hostile mobs fight each other.
Oh, man. Any of the recent ones.
I think we do some testing.
Yeah, we did some testing a while ago on that one. So, like, the Iconian servitor... Well, it's kind of like, it's pretty intuitive, with a few exceptions that I can't remember. But it's like all the Iconian servitor units, they'll all stick with each other. The rogue guys will fight everyone. So that's probably a good one to throw in there. The KDF faction, that all sticks together. So Nausicaans won't fight Orions and so on and so forth. Kobali won't fight with anyone that's in the Alliance. Or, sorry, or Cooperative.
I think the friendly mobs, will they not attack each other, any of them?
Yeah, so all those, anything in the friendly category, if you're playing as a KDF, if it's all friendly, then that it follows on with the rules.
Yeah.
I think Tholians will go after anyone. Let's see, Zenkathi are probably going to, oh crap, we don't have them yet.
Combat mobs? Do
we have the Zenkathi combat mobs? Voth will go after everyone.
That's a question.
I don't think so. But we have the
Let's find out.
NPCs. Well, let's see, NPC groups.
Oh
no, we do have them.
Because one of the things I'm going to do is basically utilize a team. I might have to rope some of you guys in to help me with this, so that I can have a full team, so I can have all the ships in the mob spawn.
Oh god!
But I'm going to wall us off with invisible walls so that we can't interfere with the fight. But we'll have to be close enough that they'll all display.
Yeah.
One thing I was examining earlier was that off the ground, at least, because we stuck with True Way, and it looks like the True Way mobs
yeah. We lost the last half of that. We heard True Way.
Something about True Way.
Okay, so what am I doing here? I got a space map.
Yeah, we need a space map. So we need to see which space mobs are going to be hostile to each other. Of the hostile mobs that are, already in that category.
Okay, so what do we want to try?
Here's one. Vaudouar versus Iconian. To see if those, if the Vaudouar are classified with the servitor races, because the Alachi won't go after the Iconians, I think. But the Vaudouar, that's going to be in war. They might go after everyone.
Odds are. Well, one that would be interesting is testing what Bluegill do on ground, to see if they act like servitors, but Bluegill don't have ships, so
that would be a question. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with space on this one, and then try and do ground, just because I think space will be easier to get all the costumes going. Because some of them I can just use the default NPCs. Like I got a guy who flies a completely default galaxy, so I don't have to make a custom costume for that.
Yeah. So let's see. Breen will definitely go after everyone.
Let's see. In the chat room, people are telling us Romulan Star Empire Romulans fight everyone, and also Remans fight everyone, but they don't fight each other.
Because rogue Remans are allied with the Star Empire.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, those old missions.
Yeah, the Remans used to be the bad guys.
Let's see.
I'm continuing to work on my command
originally
center.
it was scripted so that Obisek was more or less an anomaly in that he was a Reman who didn't really want to fight with his.
Yeah, and I had some of that in my original series about the Romulans. I had some Remans that were hostile.
Interesting. The Iconians and the Vodwar do not seem to be going after each other.
Ah.
Interesting. Well, you know, the Vodwar were a servitor race, not
Not that they really
by
knew it,
choice.
but
not by choice. Okay, so that's a good one to know. What about Voth?
who would Voth be allied with?
Good question.
Shouldn't be anybody, really.
The Terrae. Not that we actually have Terrae units in the Foundry.
Yep.
Yeah.
We do not.
Let's see. Yeah, they should go after everyone. Borg will definitely go after everyone. Yeah. Undine will go after everyone. Yeah, it's basically when you're dealing with the early units, just anyone who's in the sphere of the KDF and Fed, that's when you start having to worry about the allies. The Iconians then introduce the servitor concept, so they'll stick with each other. Feklir will go after everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, yeah, not like you'll get like a Nausicaan or a Klingon. Well, actually, Klingon, you've got the rogue option.
Yeah, what I'll try to do is do as much variety as possible of ones that are going to fight each other, plus probably a couple of friendly mobs in there. Some of them won't have really the corresponding mob that they should be reskinned as, just because of game mechanics. So we want as many of them to be fighting each other as we can get. Kazon will probably fight everybody.
Yeah, Kazan, and they'd use phasers too.
Yeah, they'd be good for feds. And naturally, I have a lot of feds.
Phasers.
I'd say you got like
TOS.
3 options naturally. Plus, if you throw Kazan would be a 4th. Don't know who else uses phasers.
Mirror Universe probably does.
That's one of the 3 I was counting.
What about? Bentham's use Polaron.
Yeah, Bentham's use Polaron as far as friendly mobs go. Not sure who else is friendly that we have. Don't we have a friendly KDF version?
Yeah. I mean, we've got friendly and versions for KDF and Fed.
Yeah.
What about TOS Romulan? How they behave?
Is there a
Yeah,
TOS
normal
Romulan?
Romulans.
Oh, okay. Bloodleaf Plow says count as Romulan Star Empire. So
they won't fight 25th century Romulans.
I think that the devs did the TOS Romulans was basically to just make copies of the 25th century Romulan units and give them different costumes.
Yeah, I don't know if they have any different powers at all.
I don't remember them seeing them do anything out of the ordinary for 25th century Romulans.
Yeah. Of course, you only really encounter them once.
I learned in core.
Okay, maybe twice, because there is a mission in the the early TOS Feds series.
Yes, you do find one there. Okay, so if I throw a Rogue Federation, and we throw in regular Federation. Doing cruisers here.
Yeah. I'll probably try and do like a variety of that.
You might have to start allying some of your characters.
Oh yeah, well we'll have to. There's no way around that. The funny thing is that it would never turn out the same way twice. A thing like this.
I'm throwing in a KDF aligned Federation squadron.
Yeah, and anytime you want to throw over to me and the Foundry, I've got my project going right now too.
If I do that, I'm gonna have to.
So you set up for that because I know you had to.
I think so.
Rebuild all your stuff today.
Duncan, share your screen with me.
Okay. Share screen.
All right, it's a little choppy, but it's coming through.
Okie dokie.
I meant to ask, you had a screenshot, which I think is from this map, and it had a grand scale ship in it. Was that the Guardian?
Yeah, there's got a Guardian in the background.
Yeah. Because of course, the Guardian was always looked a little bit like that Andrew Probert ambassador variant.
Oh yeah.
That just got.
Now the Guardian is basically like, I was trying really hard, guys.
I fly a Guardian. I fly a Mirror Guardian.
I still fly my Mirror Guardian. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty choppy right now, so I'll just kind of keep it settled on one location. But yeah, this map
I would actually like to
Yeah, I was just going to say...
I was just going to say that I would actually like to fly that sideways to Derrida.
That'd be a good one. But anyway, though, this is not the first map, but the first part of a holodeck, not a simulation, but a holodeck program. So basically what I'm building here is a parody mission for Starfleet Security that takes basically the elements from my SSF series, particularly Season 1, and then puts them in the light of an anime/Power Ranger style spoof. Where it is a holodeck program gone awry. You're in here with at least Setsu Jigoro. I haven't made a full determination on that one yet. And you're going through a Starfleet Security adventure as carried out by the old team in Power Rangers theme. So we've got some of those over here. So I'll try to get looking close there. But yeah, I was trying out some optional dialogue, just seeing how the character dynamics would work out. But yeah, just parody versions of all the SSF people. So Graves, Bailey, Jigoro herself. And you really get this, it should give some fun dynamics, especially when you killed Cadet Jigoro for your Setsa to take her place. Because yeah, that's a dynamic that I'm planning on just screwing around with a lot. But anyway, though, so yeah, I've got basically retrofitting an existing project that I'm working on. It was kind of like thinking about a KDF reboot of SSF, but I'm thinking of just making the KDF mission the parody. So you go to a station and you just are dealing with something, and then you go into the holodeck and find that Jigoro's in there. You activate the program, and the Klingon holodeck malfunctions. So additional layer on top of the standard holodeck going awry parody. But then you find out that you find an SSF parody program, and you start trying to investigate who made this, with the joke being on the end. But yeah, we've got versions of the team. So we've got Ross here, we've got Itrex, and they're all just subtly wrong in some more intrusive ways than others. Bailey.
It's like somebody described Starfleet Security to the Klingon hollow program writer over the phone.
Yeah, so basically it's like almost like a knockoff program that you're finding that's just infringing on all sorts of your bootleg, or just it's just like one of those really weird things, like you're finding a bootleg Game Boy or something like that. So yeah, Conclave, Android, Warlock Reet, because instead of Rita Repulsa, I had a character named Reet who kind of was in similar role. So there we go. You got Pirate Szench, kind of a Goldar type thing. Because I had General Szench.
I had to take it back real quick because I got
fighting.
Okay,
so what do we got?
So who's all fighting here?
So like 4 different versions of the Federation, plus the Cardassians and the Kazon.
So who's fighting who?
Though now that I look at it, the Kazons apparently use blue phasers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got their own little thing going on there.
They'd be good for TOS ships.
Yeah.
Because I obviously run some of those.
All right, I'm going to try rescreening these guys. I'll let you go play around or show off some more Duncan.
Okay. But yeah, so with the parody mission, though, it's sort of like the first map, probably going to be Gonalda Station. Second map is then the parody. So that's when you go activate the holodeck program. It just goes wrong, and you now have to proceed through it. Maybe more of a plot there. So this is just like me having the crazy idea from STO Shane, doing some Power Ranger stuff, and me realizing I've been working on this idea for a while. Oh, this idea has been like it's one of those things where it's just kind of too perfect. And it's like, I've got to do it. So anyway, though, so it's the so the main dynamics is just going to be proceeding through just ridiculous adventure, off the top dialogue that just is insane. So almost like me trying to make Cold Blue Space, or just like that level of just like being a surreal experience, which is just different. And at the same time, I've got some maps to fill into this project, so I can meet a quality bar while at the same time just sort of pushing this through with, let's just say, a little bit less care than usual.
I almost feel like you should find a way to use these skins that Sto Shane has made. They're pretty cool looking.
Oh yeah, we could totally do like something like that.
Utilize them as some sort of the real program that this guy was copying.
Maybe, or like even just like bring them in as a second team at a certain point where they like get challenged, like the knockoffs get challenged by other knockoffs. Or just have like a war break out between different Power Ranger factions.
There you go.
So, or something like that.
I don't know enough about Power Rangers to say anything that there's anything you can pull from the show itself to try and do that.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with what I have right now. Of like just having close enough knockoffs to the characters and dynamic, and also just the weird dichotomy. This is something I'm going to try for the weird dichotomy between the adventure and just mundane like daily life stuff. Like, because that was sort of like they that's part of how they spliced together that show with the American actors and the Japanese kung fu stuff. So trying to do that weird superimposition where you start dealing with like a high school level trauma midway through, but that's still just completely insane and ramped up. Yeah. So
because if I have this correct, it's like when it cuts to the guys in the suits doing the fighting, that's the what they took from the Japanese show, right?
Yeah, that's what they took for the Japanese show, with a few exceptions. But you can kind of like you can tell the film quality completely changes between those. Because they did like some stuff with the actors doing fighting stuff, but I'd say like just for as much of an education, maybe you take a look at the Futurama episode where they did a Voltron parody, because that's also kind of what I was inspired by.
I remember Voltron. I used to watch Voltron when I was a kid.
But yeah, and that's kind of like the general theme here, is that I kind of want to just do the parody of that type of team-based dynamic, maybe leaning a little bit more on Power Rangers, but also just the ridiculous sort of like over-exposition.
From Captain Planet.
I wouldn't know enough about that myself, because, man, I mean, maybe just like as the last
Captain Planet was one of those TV series.
It's quintessential 90s.
Where the villains would often do a monologue explaining their entire evil plan.
Yeah, that's to do that.
Oh yeah. That's
absolutely
so that the heroes can find a way.
Yeah, so I mean, I've got plenty of villains for that. And there's going to be like, for me, I'm just sort of like thinking about like actually when to set this, because that is actually a pretty good question. Because I do want to actually have like a serious point with Jigoro going through this and actually having some character reconciliation to that. So it could either be current SSF, like with where the series is right now, or actually like in between seasons 1 and 2. So maybe a prequel, because with this being for the KDF, like I've got a lot of leeway for that.
So what if, just random thought that popped in my head, what if you're going along in the mission and towards the end, the big reveal is that one of these holodeck characters that you've been dealing with the whole time is actually a real person. They've been in there the whole time.
Yeah, that's actually the way I was going about doing it like a prequel, because basically see the description, not a hologram.
Maybe they've been trapped, maybe they've been trapped in there or something.
Well, actually what I was thinking is that like he was like it's basically espionage, counter-espionage thing. So that's why Jigoro was on the station, just trying to clean up a loose end from, if this is a prequel mission, from Graves' life, who was killed in between series and I recently brought back. So there's like trying to clean up something he left behind. And then one of the main factions from my series is also interested in that. So he's basically in the room with you guys when the program starts, and he's fit into a villain role because, he is based on one of the characters is based on him. So he's playing that through, or at least he's like killed the character off and adopted his mantle. So you're interacting with him, and then basically in a key moment, he basically is like, "Yeah, I'm just kind of here, guys." With maybe like even just like instead of like the classic trope of you've got the hero or you've got the anti-hero or the villain who kind of turns hero. This happened in Gundam and happened in Power Rangers, where you've got this this enigmatic villain who turns to a good guy midway through. You flip that and just start like you as the player turn to the bad guys and just completely go off script.
Gundam, you find out one of the main villains actually had a noble goal for why he wanted to kill off hundreds of thousands of people.
Might not go. You're breaking up, Mark.
Humans were destroying the Earth, and thus please protect the Earth.
I'm thinking of a scene where it's like a bunch of holograms are there, and you're like, computer, delete holograms, and then there's one guy left, and he's like, oh crap. I guess I have to start shooting you now.
Yeah.
All right. So round two of the fight is going on.
All right. What do we got here?
I've reskinned everything so that it's all Federation now. They're definitely going at it. They don't like each other.
So what kind of mobs did you use here?
So there's like Rogue Federation, there's KDF Aligned Federation, there's Mirror Federation, there's one actual Federation, there's a Cardassian and a Kazon. Kazon's playing the TOS Connie. And it actually looks pretty cool.
Yeah. There goes one. Now, see, imagine this, but with maximum, however many NPC groups we can have, like 24, right?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, you'd have to get more creative with weapons types.
Yeah. Obviously, several would. Some of them might not have the right weapons types for
Well,
the ships.
I'm sure you've got some federations that aren't firing phasers.
Yeah, several. I got my main guy with the Odyssey is using AP, so because that used to be the meta. AP. If you wanted to do top DPS, you had to have AP.
Yeah, nobody cares anymore.
No, nobody cares. It's all about coalition disruptors or nothing.
Even that doesn't matter a ton.
The crit stack sometimes use AP still, and generic vanilla AP at that, simply because the fact that it has that inherent critical bonus. but not all of them. Just there's more one in there nowadays.
Wow.
Oh, there goes that nebula.
Yeah, TOS is doing. The Connie's doing really well.
Well, yeah, because the Kazon are pretty ridiculously scaled.
I thought they were kind of on the weak side.
I thought they were supposed to be
on
terrible.
the Foundry. They're deadly. I mean, I've tried to use them once, and I'm just like, holy crap, they're just annihilating me. So yeah, I think their scaling as the NPC unit might be a little off.
So I wonder if it's going to go attack.
They are a
or
later
too.
stage mob.
Yeah, and that's kind of the feeling. And yeah, those beams do pack quite a punch. So TOS Fed's probably going to have an advantage over standard Fed. Still losing your mark.
Kazon over to him.
Powers.
I set myself as untargetable, so.
So let's see who comes out on top here.
Uh,
We're watching it on the stream here, so it's
the Connie
we're
won.
We're going to be a minute behind you. Yeah,
but the Connie was out of the fight for quite a while.
That's useful knowledge that the Kazon are actually fairly strong.
Yeah.
Reset everything.
I actually may not go, because I only have X number of characters, so I may not go to the full NPC group limit. But if I can, utilize a couple of players to help me get in there and have the mobs spawn their maximum, that's going to be a heck of a lot of ships. And then, I'll demo record it and take cool screenshots and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely kind of fun to watch.
It's like a, Starfleet battle simulator.
War games. I don't know. It almost looks like that Nebula's firing those Thoron and fused Polaron weapons.
Yeah, they look sort of yellow.
Yeah.
Which one is that reskin?
That's the Cardassian.
Yeah. Well, spiral wave disruptors, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. One thing that was fun to do in Space Empires 5 is that you could do simulated battles. You just like put a bunch of ships into the space and just like hit play and let them duke it out with each other. It was put into the game as a way to, so the players who were like designing a new ship unit to build could test it to see if it actually worked properly in combat. Mm-hmm. Almost more fun than the main strategy game, to be honest.
Oh, I gotta figure out if these two will actually fight each other. They may not. I have to check and see what kind.
You had a 3. Oh yeah. There's 2 of them that are not fighting each other there.
Let me go look up. See, there was the
your Intrepid and your TOS Connie.
So
I think that's an Intrepid.
Yeah, the Intrepid was Mirror 1. The TOS Connie was Kazon.
Interesting. So Kazon and Mirror Universe do not fight each other.
Yeah, that's unexpected.
Yeah, really. That is very strange.
Useful information.
I thought it might get a little wonky with the KDF aligned Fed, but I wasn't expecting those two.
So get rid of everything but those two and run it and see if they do the same thing.
Okay. Which it's never.
So while he's doing that, we got word that the first of the short treks, the little short films that are going to be coming out before Discovery Season 2 is going to be dropping next month. In fact, like early next month, like October 4th or something like that.
Neato.
Unfortunately, apparently there is no international distribution right now.
Oh, no.
Which seems kind of odd. It's like, why wouldn't that fall under the Netflix deal?
Because they've always got to overcomplicate licensing.
Of course. I'm sure they'll figure
locking
it out.
has to be a thing.
Entirely possible that it's simply a temporary lack of availability.
Yeah.
Possible. I don't know.
Well, it's
sure
because
they'll
it's
figure
not
it
covered
out.
under the original Season 1 licensing agreement.
Yeah, something like that. I'm sure they'll figure it out. But it should be interesting. I mean, you got one of them's going to be about Harry Mudd, one's going to be about Tilly, one's going to be about Saru, and one's going to be about a new character. And y'all know how much I like Leverage, and so obviously, I'm pretty stoked that Aldous Hodge is going to be playing that new character.
Which one was he on Leverage?
Hardison, the hacker.
Okay.
And he's been in lots of stuff since then. He was in the Straight Outta Compton movie.
Yep, they don't want to fight each other.
Oh, interesting. See, this was a useful exercise.
Isn't there isn't it like the Voth and the Davidians, where it's like this one-sided antipathy on ground? One of them won't attack the other, but will get attacked. It's only on ground though, and I think it's the Davidians and something. I don't remember what.
So my question for you, Drogyn, is could you turn this battle royale into an actual story?
Yes, I'm sure I could. Can I right now? I don't know. Help me out here, folks.
Maybe there is a
War Games.
War Games is one of the obvious ones.
Interdimensional omnipotent being that has pitted all of these your various characters against each other.
Yeah, there you go.
And they've got to pretend to fight each other until they can work together and figure a way out, return them to respective versions of the timeline.
There we go.
Or they all die, and then he gets bored and sends them back home.
This is a layer of memory alpha. The interdimensional singularity that consumed the station has a certain plane where this is just going non-stop, where copies of your characters are just engaged in endless blood sport.
Well, I mean, you could even make it a full mission where the player character is just one of all your characters.
The memory alpha thing is basically circles of hell, and this is one of them.
The Battle of Infinite Loop.
Considering we basically, are cribbing that one from, a little bit of Diablo and a little bit of Doom.
Yeah.
We should probably
and a little bit of Event Horizon. So what other ones can we test that might be interesting? If you can think of any. We could test some ground just for fun. See who the bluegill might attack.
Anyone who's delicious.
Clearly,
and play with the Davidians, because Davidians do weird things sometimes.
Clearly, if we get the tardigrade as an NPC, I'm going to have to reskin bluegill as tardigrades.
They are the evil subspecies of tardigrade that Lieutenant Tardigrade has sworn to combat.
All right, what were you saying before, Mark? Voth and
Davidians.
Davidians.
I'd give those guys a try.
And it's really hilarious to watch, although it's not, is seeing Borg fight Davidians. because the Borg actually have the ability to assimilate Davidians somehow in ground combat. It's screwy to see it.
Those
They
nanites
fight
are
each other
just.
properly.
Those nanites are just, they're just that good.
They're tenacious. They'll never give up. They're gonna get you.
Actually, the truth is, though, canonically, Davidians do have physical substance to their bodies. It's they look in space as we know it.
So they're sort of
Or just out of phase.
dimensional or something like that.
Yeah,
Out of
interphase,
phase. That's
yeah.
what it is.
But in fairness, I mean, 7 of 9 could see like temporal bombs that were out of phase, so it seems like something the Borg could adapt to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also in TNG, the way they dealt with the Davidians was setting a tricorder to scan on a different frequency shift, and they could make Davidians physically appear by bombarding them with some sort of energy that those little like triolic stabilizers most. Yeah,
They're
for
going
those
after
folks.
it.
They were
I
actually meant
remember
to
what you're
use.
thinking of. Oh, no, they definitely fight each other.
Kind of fun to watch the dinosaur get picked up and its soul sucked.
Raptors have souls too.
And now they found me.
I remember when the Voth ground battle zone. I remember when you could use video the Variosaurus. I pounded the crap out of it.
Just for fun, let's swap out some Borg.
This is like Foundry Mortal Kombat here.
And we've got terrible music.
Ready, fight!
Round 2. Although you're actually pitting the loser of the first fight against the new one.
The winner got to escape this plane of endless fighting.
Tell you, it's the battle of the infinite loop.
Wish we had a bigger NPC limit, then you could almost make an infinite loop. If we think about it, okay, if the limit is 24 and you spawn a new one, if you started with 2, spawn a new one each time, you could have 12 on each side.
Yeah.
Fighting each other over and over again.
See, if you do it that way, you can put all F people on one side, so that you don't have to worry about like Orions versus
It would be hard to predict when each one would die.
But the trigger thing is that you wait, and the trigger automatically spawns the next group for you.
Yeah. Well, you would have to make sure that you would always get NPC. If you were going to do different NPC groups, you'd have to make sure that any combination you ended up with would always be hostile to each other.
Not sure why I have an NPC there frozen.
I think it's a bugged death animation.
No, I think I intentionally did that in a previous episode.
Oh.
That's our tardigrade over there.
When you built the tardigrade, yeah.
All right, Davidians won. Although that guy's looking a little green.
You check the buffs. Did he get assimilated?
It's not listing
that's
any
the nanites
buffs.
on.
Yeah, it's not listing any buffs. I can reset.
Interesting.
Does he have a nanite swarm around him? Because that will make the character model change colors, even if he doesn't get assimilated. It's like has the assimilation nanites waiting for his health to get.
It looks like he's always that color.
Orc shield neutralizer.
What?
Okay,
I'm curious.
that's hilarious.
What level mobs do you have these at? Like, are they captains or lieutenant commanders or?
They're both lieutenant commander ones.
Because of course, if you're doing these, something like this seriously for a mission that calls for it, if you want to try and ensure that one side wins, you make one a captain and the other ensigns.
Ooh, the top one's got the assimilation nanites on it.
I'd say the Davidians are going to lose this time.
Ah, he just turned into a normal Borg drone.
Boop.
That's pretty cool.
Told you it looked funny.
Yeah, he just turned into a normal Borg drone. Anyway, fights can go either way sometimes.
Yeah, they can. I want to see a bluegill versus something else that's hostile.
Okay.
Maybe bluegill versus Davidians. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that ought to be hostile.
I just thought of something. If I remember right, out to most animals. I don't know why they just aren't.
Orion suggests bluegill versus the M113 salt vampires.
I think the bluegill would mop the floor with them.
I think bluegill are probably going to get anybody, but
Voth might stand up pretty well.
Oh, what about Zenkethi? Try units that appeared later in the story arc.
Zenkethi would be pretty tough.
Stronger.
Vodwar would probably have a tough time taking on Vodwar.
So the question is,
would they fight each other though?
Yeah,
that's true. Vodwar and bluegill wouldn't fight each other.
It's the Iconian servitor race thing.
Do.
Yeah, I don't know that the Davidians are going to win this one.
Because they don't know to go after the flying guy first.
Well, there's also the problem of bluegill attack with. Oh, they're going after my bridge officers now. Bluegill attack with an acid, which is outside of the normal resistances.
Mm-hmm.
What if?
It's one weird thing when you look at Foundry mob scaling, when they're fighting each other. The certain abilities have low raw damage because players typically have 0 resistance to that damage type, which means those mobs tend to not do as well versus other mobs. Kind of weird, but it just works that way.
What was that? What was it? Bug Hunt Advanced? I was always told just go in wearing an EV suit.
Yeah, because it had the acid resistance on it or something like that, and most armor
toxic damage.
Toxic damage.
At the time, traits and EV suits were the only things that had toxic damage resistance, although most EV suits had terrible physical resistance.
Yeah.
Ah, dang it. Okay, so I'm still working on my project here. I was looking at like what to do for a ship for the Starfleet Security Parity team, and the basically the budget vengeance that I had designed a while ago that came to mind as a perfect design. The problem, though, is that I can't mix the parts from the TOS and the tier 1 and the tier 2 Constitution classes, because the Foundry, they are separate.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll find something else. Oh
Yeah,
no,
find something just completely silly.
oh yeah, I got it. It's gonna be the it's either gonna be the tier 3 science vessel or the Sovereign. Those variants. Because yeah, this should be. Oh yeah, Sovereign's gonna be pretty unholy here.
Why do your bridge officers keep getting thrown around?
They're getting pulled by this gravity drone.
Ah.
Yeah, that's actually a really good ability for the for anyone who's looking for science, because that is available through the the Zenkethi logbox.
That's right.
It's also extremely annoying because of the fact that it disables you while you're yanked, and you don't get undisabled. It's just standing up, which also disables PCs for.
Look, all the Zenkethi are dead, and just that little drone thing is left. Oh no, there's one left.
Yeah, I was doing a cloaking thing. But yeah, I don't think he's gonna have.
That was a much more even fight though. Than versus the Davidians.
Interesting. He switched targets and going after the fly.
The pestilent. I hate those things.
It appears so use over aggro as champions online, and a pestilent using ability that is placate would actually cause you went.
Yeah, this is
This
pretty unholy, but
you have to think. And Bug Hunt, the reason pestilence were dangerous is because you have the big scary trying to kill you, and then all of a sudden the pestilent makes you freeze in place and not do anything.
Yeah. They do a fair bit of damage too. And it's good to remember these things because soon we might be playing some randoms and what comes up with Bug Hunt.
Indeed. So yeah, in going to the random queues for those ground stuff, the one thing to note that it is only up to advanced, so it's not going to be super tough, but I mean, keeping a few extra bits of kit on hand might be advisable.
There's a reason why I like to use
Targs versus spiders. So
okay.
Do the animal ones attack each other? That's
sure. Why not?
Useful information.
One thing that I have always done since a long time ago is using my bridge officers to store gear I'm not currently using. Because now I have like 12 bridge officers per crew or something like that, and I only use 4 of them in ground combat. So those are the 4 with the best gear, and then the other 8 or so have the other things that I don't want to throw away, but don't feel like keeping in my inventory.
Do we have spiders as a mob group?
I think we do. Somewhere.
Are they listed as spiders?
Look, search under Talarian. I think it's Talarian Hook Spiders, the name of the unit.
Not seeing it.
Or like ice spiders or something like that.
Nope, we don't have anything listed spider.
Yeah, in Epoch, Trident, I
So
had
I
received
know
something else as spiders.
people used them before.
We have them
they're
as
recent.
NPC contacts, not as a group.
Maybe that's it.
I can pit targets against Wargill.
There you go. I have the feeling maybe these won't attack each other. Possible.
I don't know, because the Wargill aren't specifically a Klingon mob.
Yeah, there might be like an animal category or something like that.
The Mastiffs are, I think, also a Klingon mob. So they might be friendly to each other.
Dang it. I was trying to design something unholy with the patrol escort, and I ended up with something not too bad.
You could always use one of the generic ships.
Yeah, I want to create an unholy Federation ship, though.
Mm.
Let's see.
Well, should you join Drogyn's crusade for the Jaeger, then? That's about the most unholy ship I can think of.
You can make a pretty terrible looking ship with Miranda parts.
Miranda parts, let's see Galaxy.
Well, one of my personal experiments was taking a Shikar as a base and trying to make it look as much like a flying saucer as possible.
Yeah. There's one of the nacelle pylon and roll bar combinations that makes them stick out like crazy. It's like somebody called it a Federation bird of prey.
Yeah, let's take a look at the Saber.
How do I still have...
Yeah, it's going to be all small. I'm in a cruiser.
So the blue, you still have bluegill in there.
But that's the thing is, I don't.
Bluegill can bury themselves.
Glitch.
Think they're just not despawning properly? Because I mean, it's technically...
it must be a preview glitch here.
Could be. It could just be it's not.
Like it's kept the instance open from the last time you previewed it.
Yeah, I think it does.
They used that little power there, and the power didn't go away.
If the bluegill aren't in combat, they burrow. So double check to make sure they are not there.
There's no mod group. They can't burrow in the editor.
On the map. Oh, okay.
If you use the Sovereign, you can use some of the ones, the old ones.
I was looking through those. I was able to make something really unholy the other day, but using some of the most recent parts from the Tier 6 version. I'm right now experimenting with the Tier 3 cruiser, the Stargazer Cheyenne combo. Because that also you can get some...
The old Monarch skin for the Sovereign. That thing is just weird.
Yeah. Oh, I know something that happened since the last time we were on the air is I got in the mail my 3D printed Atlas class, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty happy
they have
with
no
it.
interest in finding each other, and every interest is in going after my bridge officers.
Yeah, I thought maybe like the animals were the animal mobs won't attack each other or something like that.
Okay, so yeah, I think they're both under the vague faction of Beast.
Yeah.
Beastie, 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 beastie.
Does that mean that the Klingons cannot be attacked by...
Test that. Next.
Yeah, let me throw some...
So we still have a little bit of time here.
Let's see. Moving down. Yeah, Cheyenne, there's some pretty good ones. It's sort of like, at a glance, though, I just want this to be... basically the... let's see, what was it?
You see... Basic...
The Medusan of ships.
Where it's recognizably Federation, but dear God, it's ugly. It'll drive you mad. If you look at it.
Sovereign might be the best choice for this.
Deep Space
Use
Science Vessel?
Use some of the Imperial parts.
Deep Space Science Vessel, I think, is actually pretty good. That's just sort of a nice brick, however you go about it. See, Prometheus class, yeah. I think I might have to go back to Sovereign. I'm just looking for the tier 3.
Yeah, the Imperial
Science
parts
vessel.
are pretty funky. Actually, back in the day, bought those in the C-store.
So did I. For a long time, I used a Sovereign,
Yeah,
which was like standard Sovereign, but just had that sort of back thing,
Yeah.
back structure that was on
Yeah,
the
those
Imperial.
too.
weird metal plates sticking out of the hull. I actually never liked the Sovereign enough to want to use that. I did, however, do interesting things with
Oh, the Klingons are not immune to targs.
a something different about the like target animal mobs versus like actual
Yeah, they're not the ones that they summon.
I take it back. The targs are
Targs.
not attacking Klingons, just the Wargills.
really
Are you sure about that? I think I see one
Oh.
attacking there.
okay.
Oh, one way to find out.
Yeah, they're definitely attacking.
Actually, I'm not finding the tier 3 Fed Science Vessel in the Foundry.
Tier 3.
Is it under Olympic?
Let's see. There we go. Let's see. Got it. Awesome. Okay. Oh,
I've actually seen
that one
those
has
used
some
for
even
good use.
That one has some funkiness to it.
Oh,
I
just
was
the
like- I was
horizon
like it.
by itself. I mean, I don't even have to do anything. I mean, that's basically the Apple Core ship. The Hope.
See, that's the one I ran. Always was okay.
Always
So
loved that one.
the ball part of it. The rest of it, I think I used Olympic parts.
Yeah, my
The whole section of that is really ugly.
Oh god, yeah. This is a winner.
Okay, you're right. Well, they're doing battle with the targs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess all the beasts are under their same faction, and then they're just hostile to just about everything.
And apparently, wait. Here's one to test. Test bluegills versus Iconian servitors.
They won't
Yeah, we
fight. They're
didn't
same
test
faction. Or they're,
Bluegill versus
Align.
Valar.
Bluegill and Vodwar shouldn't fight, and neither should the Iconians.
The Heralds.
Adwar. And
I will share my screen in a few minutes here. Gotta finish setting up the color scheme.
All right, so if my calculations are correct, very little will happen here. So yeah, there's kind of the two major alliances. I guess three if you kind of count Federation and a few of the
Mhm.
Delta Quadrant species. But yeah, you got the big Klingons, because they've got a bunch of races under them. Then you've got the Iconians, which have a bunch of races under them.
And then there's a few sort of outliers like the Zenkethi and the Voth.
Zenkethi and Voth are aligned?
No, they're outliers that will attack everybody.
Oh, yeah.
They're not aligned. And beasts, apparently.
Do we have the giant scorpions and horns?
We might have as a contact.
Yeah, as a contact.
Hey, look at that big group of friends.
You
They
are
look so
correct.
happy.
Until they find your bridge officers.
I sent them away.
All right.
I think there's something to force field blocks. Or
So, in theory, I can add.
Now.
That's pretty wild.
Yep, pretty bad.
It's got the primary colors. So you almost might imagine that it's been assembled from multiple different components, like a Megazord.
Yeah, I can see that. The two nacelles are the different guys, and the front ball is one guy, and the middle one is one guy, and they all hook together.
Yeah. Oh, wait! I can make the pylons worse. There we go.
Totally looks like Voltron.
Let's
really
see.
cool
US.
version.
USF. Oh, no. I got it. It's the USF's friendship power. There we go. Yeah, Harian. I'm gonna do a joke about combining ships together in the episode. It will be a joke. This will just be implication. That's like you think it's already meant by something, but in a critical moment, they will try to combine a variety of ships by moving them together at high speed.
Which will just explode.
They may be trying to form the USS North Star.
This is the true origins of the North Star. It was a failed experiment in combining starships at high velocity.
Yeah. Also, I got the mega form of one of the main bad guys, which is just the Undine Planet Killer.
Well, all right, gentlemen. I think that'll do it for us this evening.
Okay.
Dragoon, if you want to put up our contact info.
Sure thing. We can be reached by email at foundryroundtable@live.com. We are also on Twitter at Foundry Roundtable. Drogyn can be reached at Drogyn1701. Duncan can be reached at _SSF. Mark can be reached at Markhawkman. And I, of course, can be reached at Greendragoon.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and remember to play the challenge missions and vote.
Indeed.
Before we go,
for the detail.
one final test. There you go. One big, fat, Iconian happy family. I added in some Elachi in here, too.
Why can't we be friends?
If I do this...
Why can't we be friends?
And I think I'll just go out on that note. Alrighty. I think we should say goodnight.
Thanks everyone for joining us. We will say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.